up, guys? Trader Runner here, and welcome to another trading analytics video. So this week we saw some significant selling in the market. I mean, we had a nice bit of a run up and the lead up to Powell on Wednesday. And after Powell spoke, we saw a huge pop, specifically in the small cap sector, prior to getting a pretty massive sell the news type of activity, right? But before we get into some more details about what I expect to happen in the market, if you guys haven't already, like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of content, because it really helps us out a ton. It allows us to continue to just be innovative and do a whole bunch of other things that we look to bring to this channel and our Discord server in the future as well. Link to that also in the description of this video, as well as in our channel bio. But now let's talk about the overall market and what kind of happened, right? So you're looking here on the daily chart. Actually, just jump over to the 4-hour before we get into the daily on SPY, and you're seeing pretty much a breakdown from a retest of a previous support line at 554, 553 really, but rejection from that zone, headed down, and a loss of complete support. Looking at it here, I mean, we were kind of in a bull breakout territory once Powell spoke and kind of was more dovish, on the more a dovish side, and small caps definitely like the idea that rate cuts are going to be happening next month in September. But overall, the market got slapped up with some recession news going into Friday's trading session due to the unemployment numbers being significantly worse than what was expected, right? Now, that being the case, there's a huge amount of fear in the market, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. And that led to what we saw to close out the week. Massive selling. It's actually the largest red candle we've had intraday on SPY in a very long time. Now, why is this important? Well, let's jump back over here to the daily chart and you'll see what I'm talking about here. Not only was it the fact that, yeah, it was a bit of a sell the news event, but if you look at the chart on SPY, I actually just drew this downtrend line right after we had the selling to kind of see what was going on overall. And you see this actually kind of coincides with the formation of a massive head and shoulders pattern forming off of the daily trend line, right? So we rejected from this downtrend line zone underneath a key support at 538, right? We went from 554 all the way down to 540 or 539 technically. And once 539 was lost, we dipped all the way down to 528. Now, why is that important? 528 represents the area, a little bit of a support zone. 527, 528 area is pretty strong for SPY to see a little bit of a bounce. Now, as with any type of head and shoulders pattern or whatever type of breakdown that we see, we would likely see a retest of the neckline, breakout. So before we're seeing any continuation to complete the head and shoulders pattern. So what this likely means is that while right now we're trading at about 532 on SPY and the overall indices, we could very well see a bounce up to put us back where you're near that 538 zone before seeing that full-on breakdown continue on this downward trend line. Now, why is that important? This trend line that I just mentioned, I just drew, that 538 zone coincides with the resistance zone touch and the downtrend line from where we're currently sitting at on the daily chart. So it's pretty likely we could see a bounce to send us about $6 up on SPY before continuing a massive gap down to the next level of key support, which is right there at 520, right? Which again will put us right on line with that trend line that I drew. Oh, excuse me. Theoretical right shoulder I placed here. So these are kind of the scenarios that will play out on SPY because there's such an increased level of fear in the market, right? I do think that this head and shoulders pattern will eventually play out in completion to close and the pattern formally around the $500 zone. Now, when will that happen? Who's to say? I'm not going to say this is going to happen next week. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. This might take 2 months, heading into October. If we get news or heading into September that we're not going to get rate cuts at all for the rest of 2024, I do think that happens on that news as well. The rejection from that trend line all the way down to the next key area of support. So that's SPY. And again, everything that I just kind of talked about here coincides with the activity that we see in the market, right? So there's a saying that we talk about in our Discord server all the time. It's show us the chart and we'll show you the news, right? Ace of Trades, one of our head trader actually mentions that all the time. Show me the chart and I'll show you the news. And this chart on SPY is screaming head and shoulders, head and shoulders, head and shoulders, head and shoulders, head and shoulders. I mean, it's right there in front of you. I even highlighted in a nice yellow marker for you guys, right? So it's pretty obvious to me that the overall market wants to see the completion of this pattern, and the news that Powell, or the news that the unemployment news gave, kind of gave it its excuse to drive that extra volume down to complete this chart. So that's what we're looking at there. Now, on the flip side, where there's sellers, there's buyers somewhere in the market, right? And so we're actually going to jump over here to the bond market. So we're going to look at TMF. All right. And if you look at the daily chart on TMF, it's a pretty interesting chart. Well, we had massive selling on SPY. We've had a lot of buying on the bond sector. Why? Because when there's fear in the market, money flows towards more defensive names, inflationary tools, so to speak, right? So these products for the bond, this is actually the 3x leveraged 20-year treasury bonds. But you see the candle here coinciding with the drop off in SPY, where people are rotating money out for more volatile holdings into something quote unquote more stable. And this candle that you see is pretty much a break retest of our previous highs near the start of the year, right? This the highest bond rates we've seen since February. Now, if we were to completely break out past this zone, we could see a test of the high of the year, which is January 2nd of $64 on this 3x Treasury bull bond ticker on TMF. So just kind of keeping in mind that you want to play the volatility. Whenever you see a sharp decline or a sharp increase in one area of the market, there's an inverse play happening on the other side of it. And it's very, very important to kind of see and understand where those are coming from. Now, that being the case, I do think SPY continues to go down due to these quote unquote recession fears, the bond index is going to see the bond indices across the globe, because there's more than just TMF, right? There's the bond indices are going to continue to go up to retest previous highs of the year as more money funnels out of the volatile areas of the market into more stable holdings. So again, that's all my thoughts on SPY, what I expect to happen as a direct result of what has been going on in the market, specifically the economic news and economic data, and what I think is likely to happen on the inverse side in the bond market. But in any case, I've been Trade Runner. This is Trading Analytics. Link to our Discord is in the description of this video, as well as in our channel bio. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.